So here yesterday we were discussing with different measures of central tendency, that is averages. Before that, we will try to understand the meaning of the terminology statistics. We have seen that there are 5 measures of central tendency, and arithmetic mean is one of these, the most popular. We have seen some corners. We are going to see some problems on arithmetic mean, and after that, under this criteria, we will try to understand what I think I am audible to you. Am I audible properly? Okay, thank you. So these are the different things by which we can judge whether a particular measure of central tendency is superior to the remaining one or. So we have seen the formula in case of ungrouped data and also grouped data. Grouped means frequency distribution, and this was the example we have seen. We have actually found the arithmetic mean, and then we have seen one change of origin and scale property also, and now we are having here another problem. See, we have seen theoretical part, then before moving for the next measure of central tendency, we are going to discuss some problems. So in a set of 4 numbers, there are only 4 numbers in that data set. First number is A, the second number is twice the size of the first, the third is 2 more than 3 times the size of the first, and fourth is 5 times the third. What is the mean of these 4 numbers? So we have to find out the answer in terms of the first number itself. So we'll be saying let the first number be A. The first number be okay. Thus, the 4 numbers will be the 4 numbers will be as follows. So the first is A. The second number is twice the size of the first, so it must be 2 times A. The third is 2 more than 3 times the size of the first. So 2 more than 3 times size of the first, and the last number is 5 times the thirds. So 5 times the third number, 3A plus 2. So as such, these are the 4 numbers, and what is mean means arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean, and the formula. We know that this is raw data. Simply, we have to use the formula summation xi, I running from 1 to n upon n. So x1 is A, x2 is 2 into A, x3 is 3A plus 2, and x4 is equal to 15a plus 10. Let me aware if I am wrong somewhere. Divided by 4. So this is equal to, so a plus 2a plus 3a plus 15a, I think it is 21a plus 2 plus 10, 12 divided by 4. And the answer is 21 by 4 times a plus 3. So this is the arithmetic mean of the 4 numbers. So let us go for the next problem. Next problem is the mean age of combined group of men and women is 25 years. So till now we do not know how many men, how many women are there, but those are combined together and the arithmetic mean of their ages is 25 years. If the mean age of a group of men is 26 and that of group of women is 21, then the percentage of men and women in the group respectively is. So let us just try to solve. So we'll be saying let M and W be the number of men and women in the group. Okay. So total people in the group, that is T, is equal to number of men plus number of women. So this is obvious. Then let us call X as a variable or attribute for age of a person. So here, see, X bar will be arithmetic mean. So that will be combined. Now let us see whatever has been given to us. The mean age of combined group of men and women is 25. So X combined arithmetic mean is equal to 25. If the mean age of group of male, so this is arithmetic mean of the ages of men only, and that is equal to 26. And that of group of women, arithmetic mean of the ages of women is equal to 21. Then the percentage of men to women is to be found out. So here we can say the formula here, the arithmetic mean of age of all men and women will be equal to. Yes, can someone help me to solve this problem? So the concept remains the same. Arithmetic mean means in the numerator there will be total of all the observations, and in denominator we must have number of observations. So here in the denominator, total number of observations means number of male plus number of men plus women. Okay. In numerator, we must have the sum of ages of men as well as women. Now we know that there are m number of men and their average age is xm bar. Okay. So the sum of ages of men will be equal to m into xm bar plus we have to add sum of ages of women, and we know that there are w number of women and their average age is xw bar. So the sum of ages of women will be equal to w into xw bar. So this is the formula of combined mean. So let us put whatever we have. The mean age of combined group of men and women is 25. So 25 is equal to M into XM bar is 26 plus W into XW bar is 21 divided by M plus W. And therefore cross multiplication 25M plus 25W, that is equal to 26M plus 21W. And therefore, see, dear students, you are from T and you must be appearing for some drives, placement drives, which are being conducted by our TNP cell. So improve your logic, go on improving logic. So you will find so much association of different aspects, maybe aptitude or logic. These are mathematics. These are very close. So these are siblings. So try to understand 25M at left hand side and 26M at right hand side. So I can say that 1M at the right hand side, 25W at left hand side, 21W at right hand side. So 4 times W, and therefore M as to W is equal to 1, M is equal to 4. And thus, therefore, the ratio of main to main is equal to 4:1. So we have solved this quite satisfactorily. Definitely, if you want to have a screenshot, you can always take. And if you have any doubt at any time, you are always welcome. So I will really like to clear your concepts. Try to clear your concepts. Now you are supposed to be very much matured people. Okay. So let us go further. Now, in a class, there are 22 girls and 28 boys. If the arithmetic mean of heights of the girls is G and the arithmetic mean of heights of the boys is B, what is the average height of students? What is the average height of students in the class? Okay, so again, we have to use identical formula. This is going to be combined mean. So we'll be saying let height of girls is G. Okay. So here number of girls is equal to 22. Number of boys is equal to 28. Okay. Now arithmetic mean of girls is G and arithmetic mean of boys is B. Then what is the combined mean? So I'll be saying combined mean is equal to. So in denominator, total number of people means number of students. So 22 girls and 28 boys. In the numerator, we'll be having sum of heights of all these 22 plus 28. Now 22 girls are there and their average height is G. So the sum of the heights of these girls must be 22 times C, and plus we have to add the heights of boys, 28 boys with average height as B. So the sum of heights of these 28 boys must be 28 times B. So this is 22C plus 28B upon 20. And in the next you can say 22Z. So do not confuse the GI. I am writing 9 in different way. This is purely G plus 28B and divided by 50. So this is the answer. This was a small problem. So let us go further. Now the average wage of male employees in a firm is rupees 520. So let us suppose that these are daily wages. And that of a female is rupees 420. The mean salary of all the employees is 500, so we can understand that the average wage of a male is larger than that of a female. Find the proportion of male and female employees. So this is slightly identical to problems before. So here let M be M and I must say M and let M and F be the number of male and female employees in the form. So I always like to write and solve, otherwise it is not really worth to just go prepare the slide and do the things. The average wage of male employees. So let us call X as daily wage of an employee. Okay, so X bar of M is equal to 520. Then X bar of F is equal to 420. And combined X bar C is equal to 500. Okay. So we know the formula combined mean is equal to, so in denominator we must have a number of males plus number of females. In numerator we must have sum of the wages of males as well as females. So the mean wage is 520, as such there are m number of males, so 520 into m, and plus as such 420 into f will be the sum of the wages of women, and therefore we know that the average of all the group is 500. So as such we are going to solve this problem quickly. M plus f, and therefore cross multiplication 500f plus 500m, and that is equal to right hand side. And quickly again we can say that at right hand side 20m, and that is equal to 80f, and therefore m as to f is equal to, so here 80 as to 80 by 20. So the ratio, the proportion of male and female is equal to 4:2. So this is the answer. Okay. So take screenshot. The arithmetic mean of first 100 national numbers is, quickly. So here we have raw data. Obviously primary data, raw data, and the observations. These are the values. X1 is nothing but 1, X2 is 2, and as such the last observation is 100. So obviously arithmetic mean, that is x bar. X bar is equal to, our formula is summation xi, running from 1 to n upon n. So this is equal to, where to get addition 1 plus 2 and so on until 100 and divided by n. So this is equal to, we already know from our school days, 1 plus 2 plus until n. The sum of first n natural numbers is nothing but n into n plus 1 by 2. So we have to make use of the same, and using that it will be 100 into 101 divided by 2 into n. N means 100. So 100 cancels. So 101 by 2, and that is nothing but 50.5. So this is the arithmetic mean of the first 100 natural numbers. So if it really doesn't matter, you may be asked, what is the arithmetic mean of first 100 even natural numbers, 100 odd natural numbers? So you must be in a position to find this. Just you must have clear concepts with you. Next problem, if A is equal to 2B is equal to 4C is equal to 8D, so what is the average of A, B, C, D in terms of A? So it is given it in totally different way. A, B, C, D are the four numbers, and we have to find their arithmetic mean. So N is equal to 4. So you can understand this x1. The first number is A. Okay. So let us write everything in terms of A. Second number x2 is equal to B. But what is B in terms of A? B is equal to A by 2. Third number is x3 is equal to C. C is equal to, we know 4C is equal to A, so C must be equal to A by 4. The fourth number x4 is equal to D, and 8D is equal to A, so D is equal to A by 8. So we have expressed all the numbers in terms of A. Similarly, we can express each of these four numbers in terms of B or C or even D. Now, we have to find arithmetic mean. X bar, we know this is nothing but x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 divided by 4. So this is equal to, just go on adding a plus a by 2 plus a by 4 plus a by 8 divided by 4. So this is equal to 1 by 4. Again, a can be taken common. Remaining part is 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8. So you can use the formula of geometric series, but not really necessary. Here you can have LCM as 8, and in numerator we have 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, and this is equal to, you can see addition 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, I think it is 15. 15 divided by 32 times. So this is the arithmetic mean of these four numbers in terms of A. Let us move further. Now, after discussing the concept and some problems, let us try to understand some smooth properties of this arithmetic mean. See, my every session is going to be really a brainstorming. We will able to understand very number of new things during every session. Just the thing is that you have to be very much alert, very much curious and sensitive also. Try to understand. And I think whatever the things I'm going to touch in very depth, and you will experience such things rarely. Properties of arithmetic mean. So the algebraic sum of the divisions of all the observations from their arithmetic mean is 0. What is meant by this? We may have raw data or group data. In case of raw data, we'll be having x1, x2, xn. These are the n observations. We can find x bar, their arithmetic mean, and it is told that the if you take the addition of what? the deviations xi minus x bar summation I from 1 to n, and this will be equal to 0. This is the mean. In case of grouped data, now see, I have given you formula of arithmetic in mean in place of row as well as grouped data, and the same is going to be done by me for the remaining 4 measures of central tendency as geometric mean, harmonic mean, median, and mode. Believe me, in the formula of grouped data, if you are making slight changes, then that formula is reduced with the formula for raw data. Now, in case of grouped data, there is slight different presentation. There are k groups. Okay, there may be class intervals or exercise and with corresponding frequencies. So here there are observations as xi with frequency fi, xi, something like that, and you have to find x bar by the formula. X bar is equal to summation fi into xi upon capital N, so that x bar is found by you. Suppose if xi minus x bar, if that is multiplied with fi and it is summed over all the k groups I from 1 to k, then this is equal to 0. This is now in between raw and grouped data is general. If I am saying fi is equal to 1 and instead of k classes there are n small n number of observations, we are getting the corresponding formula for raw data. So very briefly I am going to prove this here. Justification. So if I am doing it for grouped data, that is more than enough. Summation I from 1 to k fi times xi minus x bar is equal to summation fi times xi I from 1 to k. I am just separating minus. Be very much serious. Summation I from 1 to k. See carefully fi into x bar. Now see, as I is changing means I is used for different classes. I is from 1 to until k. But for a particular data, value of x bar is the same. Arithmetic mean is the same. That is the only value. So it is constant. It is not going to change with change in I. Because with change in I, xi will change, fi will change, but x bar will remain the same. It is constant, can be written outside the summation sign. And what is summation fi into xi? I from 1 to k. F1 into x1 plus f2 into x2 until fk into xk, and that is the thing for sum of all the observations. As you can see here, formula of x bar is equal to 1 upon capital N into summation fi into xi. I running from 1 to k. So summation fi xi from 1 to k is nothing but capital N into x bar and minus x bar into summation fi, sum of all the frequencies is nothing but total number of observations, and that is nothing but capital N, and that is 0. So it is really amazing, and this point will be raised by me when we will be discussing about the different measures of dispersion. Okay, so the next property is the sum of space of the deviations of all the observations is minimum when taken from their arithmetic mean. So for that some robust calculus theory is needed, but I will try to explain you. So here, suppose S, let S. Now I'm going to speak in general for group data. So I'm going to say summation xi minus sum arbitrary number a. I'm taking square of that, and that is multiplied with fy summation I from 1 to k. So this is going to be my formula of S. S is equal to this much. And it is told in the statement that the sum of space of the deviations of all the observations is minimum when taken from the arithmetic mean. So you must have remembering the theory of maxima and minimum that was studied by you during your semester 1 FE, that is in M1, and for that we have to take derivative of this partially with respect to A. So what is that A for which this is going to happen? So here delta S by delta A, and we have to put that equal to 0. Use summation I from 1 to k fi times 2 into xi minus a into minus 1 is equal to 0. Bear with me, this is so minus 2 can be taken outside, minus 2 summation I from 1 to k fi times xi minus a, and that is equal to 0. Then you can divide by minus 2, and that will be equal to summation fi into xi I from 1 to k, that is minus summation fi I from 1 to k into a. So we know that a is constant, and then in the next step you can write this is summation fi into xi I from 1 to k is equal to n times a, and therefore a is equal to summation fi into xi I from 1 to k divided by capital N, and that is nothing but a is equal to x bar. So what does this tell us? The value of S attains extremum. So I like to write thus S attains extremum at a equal to x bar. Maybe maximum or minimum, we do not know. And now we have to check whether at this point the function attains maximum or minimum. For that, we know we have to go for second derivative. So here, as I am calling the star, now go for delta square is by delta a square. So this will be, so star, we know delta is by delta a, left hand side of star is the first derivative, huh? And again that needs to be differentiated once again. So different derivative minus 2 summation I from 1 to k fi times derivative of xi partially with respect to a is 0 and minus 1. And therefore delta square s by delta a square is equal to, so this is 2 into summation fin, and therefore delta square is by delta a square at the point a is equal to x bar. Actually that is nothing but 2n, there is no a, so we know it is greater than 0. The second derivative is positive, and thus we can say that thus S attains. Actually, we have seen in the previous step it attains either maximum or minimum at x bar, and here as the second derivative is positive, so this attains minimum at a equal to x bar. So this is a very beautiful. I was really doubtful whether I will be able to do it come nicely or not, but somehow I managed. So this is the proof. So let us move further. Yes. So we have discussed one problem yesterday. In that we have discussed the property of change of origin and scale. And without that and with that, we have found the arithmetic mean for that data. And let us try to understand the formula that we have made use of. Change of origin and scale properties. Suppose xi and fi. This is a group data with us. I have from 1 to k classes frequency distribution. And then y is equal to ax plus b, where and b are constant, then y bar is equal to s. Very easy. So already we know just justification of the same, as we have xi yi, sorry, xi and fi. I have from 1 to k classes are there. 1 to until k classes are there. And here x bar is equal to, we know the formula. This is summation fi into xi. I from 1 to k divided by sum of all the frequencies, that is capital N. This is the formula. Okay. And also further, we are introducing another variable. Yi is equal to a into xi plus b. A and b are any arbitrary constants. See, original variable is x and new introduced variable is y. So for every value of x, we are going to have corresponding value of y by making use of the relation yi is equal to a into xi plus b. Okay. Now we are going to choose a and b in such a way that yi values will be very much small and simple for future calculations. We are going to forget x for a while. Now we are going to have yi and corresponding values of fi. So we will be finding y bar. We'll find y bar. Y bar is equal to, and we know the formula is summation fi into yi. I running from 1 to k divided by n. Okay. So this is equal to 1 upon capital N summation I from 1 to k fi times yi. Yi is a times xi plus b. So this is equal to 1 upon capital N summation fi times a into xi I from 1 to k. Let me separate everything. Plus 1 upon n summation I from 1 to k fi times b. I think you are comfortable with this. So 1 upon n summation I from 1 to k fi. A is purely constant, can be written outside this summation into xi inside, plus here 1 upon n summation fi I from 1 to k. B is also constant, and therefore we can say y bar is equal to a into, you can see that is the formula of x bar, plus summation fi, sum of all the frequencies is total number of observations, that is nothing but capital N. Capital of N upon capital N is equal to 1, and so that is the proof. Okay, so let us move further. If xi bar is the arithmetic mean of ith group containing ni observations I from 1 to k, then the arithmetic mean of all the k groups combined together is combined mean is equal to summation. That is very much obvious. Already we have discussed two problems just now in which there were only two groups. Now we have to generalize that formula. No problem. So here, see, I will say combined mean is equal to, we know, sum of all the observations. We are proving logically divided by total number of observations. So this is equal to, now see, there is first group which contains n1 elements or observations, plus second contains n2 and so on. Then the kth group contains nk number of observations. So total number of observations is n1 plus n2 until nk. In the numerator, we'll be having the sum in each groups. First group has n1 observations, arithmetic mean is x1 bar. So the sum of these n1 values will be n1 into x1 bar. Similarly, the sum of values in the second group has to be n2 into x2 plus and so on. For the kth, there are nk observations and arithmetic mean is xk bar. So the sum of nk observations will be nk into xk bar. That's all. And this is nothing but, so just summation of n I into x bar I running from 1 to k divided by summation n I running from 1 to, that's it. So this is the case. Okay, okay. Let us move further. I'm going to stop after 60 minutes. So this was the fourth property. Then fifth property, it is rigidly defined. So everybody will agree. There is clear definition. There is no any ambiguity. There is no any confusion. Arithmetic mean is rigidly defined. It is easy to understand and easy to calculate. Yes, is based upon all the observations. Yes. Even if you are taking some observation, something different by mistake, definitely our arithmetic mean is going to change. The reason is that in the formula, every observation is taken care of. It is amenable to further algebraic treatments. We have seen the change of origin and scale property. We are finding y bar from y bar, we are finding x bar. Then in the previous formula, we have obtained the formula of combined mean. So there are so many means. So further manipulations can be done. And also soon we are going to learn so many different formulae in which different manipulations are possible. So it cannot be found for a data with open-end classes. Already I have told class interval up to 10. If the first class interval is of the form up to 10, means no lower limit is provided. Or if the last class interval is of this type, 40 and above. So lower limit is given, but upper limit is not known. In that case, we cannot find the mid value xi for that data, and we cannot make use of the formula of arithmetic mean, and it cannot be found for data which contains open-end classes. It cannot be found for qualitative data. Suppose there is offer uniform, and I'm going to note down the colors of the shirts owned by the student. So red, blue, black, white, pink, red, and something like that. So there might be some repetition. And if I ask somebody, what is the arithmetic mean of the colors? I have data obtained. So definitely we cannot add. So it is really meaningless. So arithmetic mean cannot be found for qualitative or non-numerical data. It cannot be found graphically. Yes. So we cannot, that is also one problem. So we have discussed some merits as well as demerits. Merits means advantages and demerits means disadvantages or negative points. So this was about arithmetic mean. So let us concentrate on the geometric mean. So this is another wonderful measure of central tendency. Geometric mean, the concept. Can anybody tell me what is the concept behind this geometric mean? कसं काढतं geometric mean सांगता येईल कोणाला? Please. In arithmetic mean, we are adding all the observations. In geometric mean, we are multiplying all the observations. If there are only two observations, then after multiplication, we are taking square root of that. If there are three observations, after taking the product, we are taking cube root. And in general, if there are n number of observations, then after taking the product of all these n observations, we'll be taking the nth root of the product. And that is nothing but geometric mean. So the geometric mean is defined as the nth root of the product of given n values or observations. So it is no so that simple. So applications of geometric mean. It is used in stock indices because many of the value line indices which is used by financial departments use geometric mean. It is used to calculate annual return on a portfolio. It is used in finance to find the average growth rates, which are also referred to compounded annual growth rate. Yes, you must have studied some problems or sums in relation to compound interest. So simple interest is one part and compounded interest is another part. If there is the pattern of interest being compounded annually, then if you are having the amount deposited on different time occasions, so those observations are not in arithmetic progressions, rather those are in geometric progressions, and obviously geometric mean is going to be the best, and really remaining are of no use. One more, it is also used in studies like cell division and bacterial growth, etc. So let's try to understand the example. What is geometric mean of 2 and 18? So first to multiply 2 into 18 is 36. And as there are only two numbers, we have to take second root, that is square root of 36, and that is 6. Now some of you, not all of you, but some of you must be thinking, why only plus 6? Why not minus 6? So if it is in your mind, then it is there is proper answer to your doubt. And the thing is that, see friends, whenever we are talking about averages, so obviously you will agree that there may be two observations or there may be billions of observations in a data set. If we find any average, arithmetic mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, median and mode, you will agree that each of these values is going to be somewhere in between. So obviously any measure of central tendency will have its value greater than the smallest observation in the data and smaller than the largest observation in the data. So whatever may be, here geometric mean will be also must be larger than 2, smaller than 18, and thus it cannot be minus 6. So that is my justification. And see, try to understand geometrically. So if we have a rectangle with length, breadth and length as 2 and 18 respectively. So we have to just pop up this in the form of a square and the side 6, 6. So this is logical thinking behind the geometry. Okay. But the things become more and more difficult as the number of observations is increasing from 2, 3, 4, something like that. Okay. So formula of geometric mean. So here, what I am going to do, I am going to explain in case of raw data first. Simultaneously, I must have a look on the time also. Okay, so that it will not be too late. So we can yes around 10 more minutes here. So like this, I will not take more than 60 minutes. No, I will take at least 60 minutes, and after that I can extend, but not too much, because whenever I have accepted this responsibility, then I must conduct the session for at least 60 minutes. In case of raw data, we know geometric mean will be equal to C. X1 is the first observation multiplied with second observation and so on. As such, Xn is the nth observation. So this is the product of all the n observations and take the nth root. Okay. Now we know that taking square root is okay, but taking cube root is more difficult than taking square root. Taking nth root is going to be more and more difficult as n is going to increase. But thanks God we have the theory of mathematics with us, so we can utilize it, and we know what function do you suggest to simplify this formula. Yes, which is that mathematical function that will simplify the formula of geometric mean? Any one of you? So if there is some exponent a to the power b something, so the things are going to be easier if we are taking logarithm. So therefore log of geometric mean is equal to log of this x1 into x2 until xn to the power 1 by. Therefore log of geometric mean is equal to 1 upon n log of x1 into x2 until xn. Therefore log of geometric mean will be equal to 1 upon n, and here I can say that this is log of x1 plus log of x2 and so on plus log of xn. So this is equal to, again it will be 1 upon n summation of log of xi. I am running from 1 to n, and therefore geometric mean is equal to antilog of 1 upon n summation I from 1 to n log of xi. Okay, so this is the formula in case of raw data, but we'll be moving one step ahead and we'll try to understand the formula in case of group data. So we know that in case of raw data, here we have observations only as x1, x2 until xn. But in case of group, let us try to see here group data, and here something data, something different situation is there. We have xi observation appearing fi number of times, and there are k classes I from 1 to until there are k classes. Okay, so here concept is the same. Geometric mean is equal to, we have to take, now see, x1 observation is appearing in f1 number of times. So x1 into x1 into, so that will be x1 to the power f1 multiplied by x2 to the power f2 and so on. Xk observation is appearing fk number of times and to the power. Now we have to take root. So which root? As summation fi, that is capital N. We have to take capital Nth root. And therefore, we'll be saying that this is log of geometric mean. I am going to solve it quickly now. So it will be 1 upon n log of x1 to the power f1 into x2 to the power f2 until xk to the power nk is equal to 1 upon n. Then this is, you will agree that this is log of x1 to the power f1 plus log of x2 to the power f2 and so on, log of xk to the power fk. Further, this is 1 upon capital N f1 times log of x1 plus f2 times log of x2 and so on, fk times log of xk. So this is equal to 1 upon capital N summation fi into log of x. I running from 1 to k. And therefore geometric mean is equal to antilog of 1 upon capital N summation fi times log of xi from 1 to k. So this is the formula, and we are very close to reach the 60 minutes. Before that, I hope you understood, and if I have already told that if you have any formula for group data, you have to just say fi is equal to 1 and capital N is equal to small n and small k is also equal to small n. Then we will be getting the corresponding formula for raw data here, like that. So after this, relationship between arithmetic mean and geometric mean for two numbers. So see, friends, whenever I have to teach something to you, definitely I must see. Even if I do not study at all, I can just start and teach you, no problem. But definitely, if I try to summarize or see some material somewhere, then I am able to understand new things, new concepts. So this is one thing I have came across a few minutes back, relationship between arithmetic mean and geometric mean for two numbers. So already if you are seeing, I'm going something bad here, you are seeing there are two numbers. So x1 is equal to 2 and x2 is equal to 18. So if what is the arithmetic mean of this? Arithmetic mean will be equal to 2 plus 18 divided by 2, that is equal to 10. What is geometric mean? Geometric mean is equal to, you have to multiply 2, 18 and take square root of this, and that is equal to 6. So here we understand that observations are the same. We have found arithmetic mean and geometric mean. Geometric mean is smaller than the arithmetic mean. Now we have to prove in general. And friends, There might be some data for which geometric mean and harmonic mean will be exactly the same. Suppose there are two observations, 10 and 10. Arithmetic mean will be 10, geometric mean will also be 10. So the only situation that both the arithmetic mean and geometric mean are the same is that all the observations in the data must be exactly the same. Okay, so here I'm going to here with this relationship as let A and B be the two numbers. Okay, so arithmetic mean is equal to A plus B by 2 and geometric mean is equal to square root of A into 2. Now, therefore, arithmetic mean minus geometric mean is equal to A plus B by 2 minus square root of AB. So this is equal to A plus B minus 2 times root A into root B whole divided by 2. So I can say that square root of A to the power 2 plus square root of B to the power 2 minus 2 times square root of A into square root of B upon 2. So this is equal to square root of A minus square root of B, or you can say square root of B minus square root of A to the power 2 divided by 2. Now with square of anything is always non-negative. 2 is also, so you will agree that this is greater than equal to 0 and therefore arithmetic mean is greater than equal to geometric mean. So this is the simple proof, but this is limited to only 2 observations. But this can further be extended for 3, 4 and in general a number of observations by making use of the concept of mathematical induction. So really this is nice stuff. So see, mathematics is such a beautiful that you can use our theory, and this is a theoretical background and we are coming to the general statement. Okay, and then merits and demerits I'm going to discuss. I'm not going to write everything, but see, uh, we have seen merits and demerits of arithmetic mean. Analogously, I'm going to talk the same thing about geometric mean, both merits as well as demerits. The first thing we had seen geometric arithmetic mean is very much rigidly defined, and the most so the geometric mean is not that rigidly defined. It is not so simple. So this is disadvantage. The next point is geometric mean is based on all the observations in the data. Yes, that is plus fine. And that is not very much affected because of the extreme values. That is also a good point with geometric mean. But arithmetic mean is very much sensitive toward the extreme point. Suppose there are 5 observations which are 4 of them are around 20, 18, 21, 17, 22, something like, and the 5th observation is 1000. Then the arithmetic mean will be around 200. Sorry, it will be around 200 and 16, 17, something like that. Because of one extreme observation, totally the arithmetic mean value is disturbed, and that is not really practicable. But there is geometric mean is not that much affected because of extreme values in the data. That is good find with this. Then further, if there is at least one value as 0, then the product of all the observations will be 0 and geometric mean will be 0. So we have to try to avoid there is one of the values is 0, then geometric mean is of no use. Similarly, if some values are negative, then also it is quite possible that the nth root the product may be negative and the nth root may turn as imaginary numbers. So in that case also, there is no any use of geometric mean. Then geometric mean cannot be found for open-end classes. Geometric mean cannot be found for non-numerical data. Geometric mean cannot be found for graphically also. So these are some of the demerits. So with this, I will like to stop. Thank you very much.